So I'm gonna say this right here. Whenever I do these live streams, sometimes I forget to turn them back public. I don't know what it is. I just need to go and play in the settings. I just haven't to where when I end a live stream, it goes automatically to private. But if I have one in particular, you may want to like the video in order to get back to it when I put it on unlisted. Okay? But I'm not really sure where I'm going to go with this one, but I want to make sure that I'm very fucking clear. Okay? I have never in my life advocated, I want you to hear me clearly. I have never in my life advocated for someone to go up against another person in order to induce themselves to be stronger, so strong that they can then go around bragging about how they can break other people. My God, I need to be more conscientious about. I don't like to fucking explain myself. That's my problem. If there is anything that I needed to mature in, and that is on some level maybe explaining some things, but I believe that if you get it, you get it. But I really don't fucking like explaining myself. I really don't need something more than once, to be quite honest. But I've never advocated for anyone to be in active competition with another human being, another person who is living their life and their life's purpose, which are unrelated to another soul or another being. Like you're born, you have what you have. No one owes you nothing. No one is like beholden to you. You're not beholden to anyone else. You are your parents don't even own you. They agreed for you to come through them and their DNA as a portal, even if it is your ancestry. You are not beholden in a relationship, a friendship. I don't want to hear none of that weird ass shit about past life and maybe we were enemies in a past life when you are the one who are going after other people. That's some weird ass shit right there. When you are the one who's initiating the interaction. I'm not talking about the weird bitches who watch me and when I catch on to it, then I come on my channel because I never go to anyone else's channel and talk. I talk on my channel and they're responding to what I'm saying on my channel. That's why you can't come to me with that internet bullying shit. Bitch, if I'm on my channel and my channel says 0 views, how in the fuck are you being influenced in any measurable way? If I'm on my channel, right? I have to hold myself accountable. I don't know why other people don't feel like they have to hold themselves accountable. It's wild business. If you agree to come into someone else's space and listen to what they have to say, that's their prerogative. Feigning victimhood is disgusting at this level. If you are a person who you cannot show proof just because you don't like someone and you don't want your trash things that you've actually done and or said that can be receipted, spoken about, it sounds like you don't like consequences for your actions. And I'm starting to notice, I don't know if this is a zennial thing or a young millennial thing, where people don't like to deal with the consequences of their actions. But nature said, oh, bitch, there will be consequences for your action. As a matter of fact, you actually need consequences to happen. Otherwise, you will exist in a hellfied realm. If you are a person that runs away from consequences, it's probably the reason why you are a weak in character, because you've never invested in yourself to build your character and to be accountable and to be a resource to anyone. You are parasitic. You don't actually have value to other people because you're too busy competing and comparing with other people. Well, I'm finna let you know something right now. Take it how the fuck you want to take it. But if you find yourself comparing someone else's ability to break you, you are a damn fool, because no one forced you to do anything. You are admitting that you are an idiot. When you go out of your way, constantly fucking with someone who don't mean you no good, and you set up a secret competition, because I promise you, a lot of people who think like this, they say it in their spaces, but they're never going to in person ever. They would act like a deer in headlights if they were ever brought into the light and people started to question them. They would melt down and probably say no more questions and walk off, because they're not going to be able to handle accountability, because the truth would be that no, I tend to have secret competitions with people, because in my world that I created, from my negligence, from my perspective, we are in full competition with other people for personal gains. I'm not even talking about for a job. Listen, life is a competition. I'm not even talking about a job. I'm not even talking about relationship. I'm not even talking about to be the effigy or image of a certain thing. I'm talking about things that markers of spiritual development that are personal to you will never be in competition to what someone else's development is, because you don't know what the fuck that person has going on. The truth be told is that if you are a human in a body, you're not reading someone's Akashic record like that. That's none of your business. And if you were to repeatedly go into that realm, I promise you, there are certain entities that would block your sight. Because that's not the point. If God gave us free will, who the fuck are you? Like, seriously. So when you're competing with people, I don't want that to seem as though that's coming from me. That is not my motherfucking influence. I don't believe in picking someone who I actively have an attraction to, because a lot of the people I'm seeing, you have unresolved sexual tension. You are not celibate voluntarily. You are truly an incel. Because with you, it either has to go and be freaky as hell or it's no sex. Freaky as hell or no sex. It's in between. No one is sitting down to get to know you, not because it's you, because for you, you don't sit down. And how people treat us is based on the instructions we give the world. Okay? So you're not even sitting down to get to know you. Why would anyone else invest time to get to know you when you've not invested anything? You're so outwardly focused on the next person. So I just want to say that right here, right now. I think that it's weak to go and test your own energy. You don't know what God or universe or goddess or your higher self has for you. I would feel so dumb if I gave someone that much of my ashe and energy that I need for my own survival, my own progress, my own success. And I'm actively so bored and useless in my life because I don't have shit going on. Remember, if you are getting under 10,000 views on your video, you're not making that much money on YouTube. Okay? If you're not getting 10,000 authentic views on those videos on average, you're not actually making what's a livable wage as a tarot reader. You're not. I'm gonna just keep it 1,000 with you, baby. And I know you may look at my channels and say, you know, Stephanie or Nala. At this point, Stephanie is a beautiful name. I'm not gonna deny it, bitch. I am the bad bitch that you would look up. That, yeah, that's me. Okay, I don't really have a problem, you know, with my name, and I don't. I just don't. Just, you know, it's just be careful with how you use it, because there are wards on my name. Okay, you know what I'm saying, in every way that it can be listed. If the bitch, if I'm in mind and you give me a name, bitch, I'm gonna fuck your life up. You know what I'm saying? So just you know, just trust me on that. I am a daughter of Isis. Okay, the baddest bitch. Okay, like seriously, like you really should mind your, you know, mind your business. But I am not one of those people that believes in competing with other folks, harassing other people. You got to understand the difference between sexual frustration. I'm going to say this. I've been wanting to talk about this. I kind of spoke about this in my post yesterday. Okay. About how people, they take anyone who interacts with them like it's a sexual invitation, or they allow themselves to fantasize that way. I want to say this without, I'm not going to go into it because I don't like to really talk about my clients. And hell, some of the people I'm talking about could have been my clients before I shut down the chat feature. I'm not going to say the zodiac sign. Damn, how am I going to identify this issue? Can I? Anyhow, there's a person that I work with. And over the years that they have been in this world looking for love, they were brought up neglected, emotionally neglected. And they are a person who has the stars of someone who's quite emotional. And they have went from relationship to relationship. Beautiful woman. This woman is in her probably late 50s now. And to this day, she's still competing with another woman for a man. She's had children, but the relationship with the children isn't solid. And I got my thoughts on that, but it's unfortunate because essentially all of this stems from a person who goes and picks people and says, I want you to love me. I want you to love me, instead of loving themselves and allowing themselves to meet people organically that naturally vibe with them. And the reason why that can't happen is because the way that they were raised, the initial mother wound that they have, there's a huge belief system or shame around them not being lovable. And when that happens, when you're trying to run away from the notion that you're not lovable, it means that you're going to try to prove yourself. And what that looks like is you picking what you think is what you want to be with and running up on that person. And if that person doesn't want you, taking it so personal that you attack that person or become obsessed with that person. And it's really not that person that you're obsessed with. It's not, it has nothing to do with them. You're obsessed with the notion, or I'm not saying you're, but the person, people who are like this are obsessed with the notion that they're not lovable. So then they may start to mimic people who they perceive to be lovable. A lot of women, I came across a young lady who did a video. She said a lot of women are DL, or we talk about DL men, we don't talk about DL women a lot. And the signs of a DL woman generally is a woman who's awkward with men, often in love relationships is competitive with men, and she's hyper fixated on women, and on those women she picks the women apart. She's obsessed with picking the women apart because to that woman, or to a person who acts like that, that woman is considered perfection. And they hate that that person is considered perfection, and they hate the fact that that person is not open to them sexually. Why would they want to attach sexually? Let me tell you, because at the basis of sex, what sex is, fuck the pleasure shit. What sex is at its core value is the exchange of needed energies. Okay? Women are born with, we have our own internal masculine, but there are masculine energies that we need. So therefore, our bodies biologically, for those who are attracted to the opposite sex, we naturally become attracted to one another because we're fulfilling what the other one has a deficit of. In same-sex relationships, believe it or not, a lot of men are born with a deficit of masculine energy, which is why you see those who are okay with down low men, or okay in relationships where in what I would consider to be binary or non-binary people in that expression, because they have a lot of feminine energy, which makes sense. 51% of your genetics comes from your mother. If you are a man, specifically if you are a man, the only one that's 50-50 are women. But a man cannot pass down, a black man, for instance, cannot pass down his mother's mitochondrial Eve gene because he doesn't take her mitochondria. He can't pass, his semen does not contain mitochondrial abilities to restructure the mitochondria. So if there are issues or errors in his partner's DNA, the reparative qualities of his mother's DNA cannot, they don't factor here in this particular genetic pool, versus if it's from woman to female child, because the mitochondria can only be measured by woman to woman to woman, so the maternal lineage, which is why the oldest Abrahamic religion says that you can't be Jewish unless your mother is Jewish, because it is understood that the genetics are passed down through from woman to woman. They are not passed down from men. I know that it's hard to decipher that because we in our world believe that because men are physically strong, then this must correlate to the structural power of genetics, and that's simply not true. Even in early belief systems, it was understood that the woman was the spiritual authority and the man was the authority in the world, in the physical world. The woman was the authority in the spiritual world, and the man was the authority in the physical world. So much so that if you were twin spirited, you were considered to be rare. It was almost like being born, if not even more rare, being born with a sheath over your face. It was, it's, I'm gonna say this, twin spirited people were less or more rare than identical twins. And we know identical twins is a freaky kind of situation because it's not two eggs that were released. That's isn't that considered like fraternal twins? I can have it wrong, but identical twins is an unexpected split between one ovum that would have instead been one person, and it decides, oh, we finna be two people. I think that it says a lot about how massive the soul is, that it needs two copies of itself, almost exact copies of itself, which is why there's this weird, it's not weird, there's this quantum field that is established with identical twins. Okay, but to get back on the topic here, Sex is absolutely the exchange of what I don't have for what you do have in abundance. So how does that correlate to women or men who operate in deficit mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically? Well, a lot of the same sex yearnings that we see are the results of lack of character, lack of spiritual strength, lack of mental fortitude, emotional fortitude, or even soul actualization. Some people are literally born with fragmented souls. So their attraction to what they look like is the on a spiritual level, it is the looking to bring back, like to find their way back, because on their own they don't have the soul power, and it expresses itself in a person who can have several sexual relationships without attachment. That's a fragmented soul. Okay? Because you literally feel drained. Man, male or female, men will even tell you after screwing a bunch of women here and there, they feel disgusted with themselves. As a matter of fact, men try to marry before anyone else does, even if they did cheat. I'm just telling you, even men feel disgusted with themselves after going through several bouts of women. They know something is wrong on the inside. They even look it. Some people I've looked at, y'all, they look like a baby, like baby cakes at 30, 32. And in a matter of 4 years, they have aged 15 years. Their skin, everything. And when you look at how they talk about sex, it makes sense. The people who they've slept with have not aided to their beauty. Versus you look at people who kind of, stick to their one person, or they kind of look at them. They look like it. There's almost like a light that's casted behind that person. They don't have to sit in the window to get the sunlight on them. The light finds them. Even in darkness. You guys can feel my light. And you don't even see me. So I'm saying this because a lot of the competition, or people who are extremely competitive, the people who they're competitive with, they want to have sex with. Because that person has something that they do not have. And they desperately, when I tell you desperately, I'm talking about they will die about it. A person will suicide themselves. They would rather not exist, which makes them a very dangerous type of stalker, because that means that they feel like, I don't care what happens to me. If I die, then cool, because if I can't get this, I would rather not be here. That can speak to soul fragmentation. And absolutely it can happen depending on the way that they were conceived. Absolutely. I know that people don't want to talk about karmic births, but the way that your children are conceived, absolutely. Even if they go on to do amazing things, that means that there was someone praying for them before they even existed in a body, or they're probably someone who agreed to come into the bloodline to lift the bloodline up. So if you have a person who says, like, their whole every generation of women that they know were prostitutes, they may have a child that's like a divine child, and that child will come in. It's not of their soul group, but that child will come in by request of ancestors that do exist in high places that person's not able to access, and they will come in to try to balance that bloodline out. And this maybe even be the child that was abused the most. So I need to say that too. Because for them to still be, these are the people who their parents were in cults, but they don't go and create a cult. They were abused sexually, but they don't go on to abuse people sexually. They don't go on to manipulate. They don't take on the darkest parts of the register of their energy, even though they were installed with these abilities through those horrific events. They're so huge in soul matter that they're able to take those events that happen to them and almost recalibrate them to heal the bloodline that they came and agreed to assist with. This is going to be difficult because I'm speaking to people who have not read the Tibetan Book of the Dead and have not read the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And if you did, you would understand what I'm talking about. There are certain people that are not of the soul group of that particular family that they're born to, but they are, maybe it was a ancestor who is exalted in some sort of way, they're elevated in some sort of way, that they're actually doing like a spiritual karmic favor for. Maybe they are of a similar, they may be a proxy soul group or something of that nature. Okay, you can see those people, but those people are not competing with anyone. Those people are not fragmented. Those people are not, they're not picking people to love them. People effortlessly fall in love with them, good or bad or indifferent. They have to actually learn boundaries and understand the difference between those who see their light and are so perverted that they see their light as an invitation to harm versus those who are like them. And that takes time. These are the people who you see get married to people who are far much older than them. I cannot explain this because I will not be an instrument for those people who abuse young children. I will not be an instrument for those who have inappropriate relationships with non-adult people who present as adult. You can tell a child, okay? When I'm talking about people who are not just legal but is of their own volition. They would wait 20 years to be with that person because the connections that strong. I cannot explain that in a few minutes on this live right now. But you may see that, or you may see this person not marry until they're in their late 40s. They have the freakazoid birth at 55. If you actually go and look, you would be surprised to see how many couples or how many women successfully birth. Like, you would, according to what science tells us about women, you wouldn't believe that. The whole time it was about unhealthy men over the age of 40 that were causing preeclampsia and retardation in children. 40. You heard me. While they were telling women that our clock was ticking, men over 40 were shooting limited, limitations on their sperms. Definitely depending on how they, if they drug or if they drink or if they, whatever their lifestyle is. Over 40. So this meant that a man could be 50 or 40 and have a baby with an 18-year-old woman, and she could still have preeclampsia just as much as the other 40-year-old he has a baby by, who also has preeclampsia. It's him. It's not her. Yes, do eggs get old? Yes. But more cases are coming up showing that it's the actual quality of the sperm that lend itself to birth defects. Why this is why it's even more important for women if you think about it, to be a little bit more diligent about who they have their children by, because a lot of children inherit the things of their father. You may have a father who was a rapist, a gangster, or someone who did something. And it may not be his daughter, but it may be her children that suffer from it. They have physical ailments from it. And in a way, it could even be a version of him in reincarnation. If he was evil to women, he could reincarnate as a woman who experiences the abuse that he did in his lifetime. I'm not saying this to dull the abuse. No, we still have a human responsibility to eradicate extreme abuse against children across the globe, across the planet, and everywhere it can exist. Because that is a sole responsibility of every human on this planet. The planet herself has been great, if you really think about it. So why not? Why would we ignore these things and not raise the frequency of the actual environment? I even believe that a lot of men identifying as gay men is an act of divine intervention. That's what I truly believe. A lot of men, or now a lot of males who are born who identify as trans women, is a form of divine intervention. And men may hear this and be completely thrown the fuck off, because for the last 3,000 years, according to Western translation of the Bible and Christianity, you have been told that you are not with sin, that it is of your mother or your wife or your daughter. So much so that you could even offer up your daughter and you would not be held responsible. It's better to offer up your daughter than to offer up your visitor. Okay? Those who know understand that. Those who, if you know, you know. Okay? The way women are portrayed in biblical, in Western ideology, is a perversion upon itself. I don't know how many times Christ told you that it was the lap of Mary that blessed him. I don't know how many times you're going to ignore that the grandmother and grandfather of all Christian forms. I don't care if you're Baptist, Kojic, all of that. Those are Protestant religions, offshoots of Catholicism. I don't know how many times you're going to ignore that they pray to Mary more than they pray to Jesus. And how many times you're going to keep thinking that the divine feminine is not Christian and that you've been bamboozled. I don't know how long that's going to take for your brain cells to catch up, and then to realize that it is behind the scenes that they take the white Mary and they then present a black Mary and child. I know they said it's something from Russia. Listen, those biblical paintings indicate race just fine. They didn't need, everybody wasn't bronze, okay? So when you saw it, even in 2,000-year-old scripts from Persian, or what would be considered old world Persia, you see that there's a clear, distinctive change between what a jinn is and what it looks like in its race, and the person who is experiencing the jinn, who is more cast as a white person. There's a clear racial difference. A lot of this took place as far as portraying people, white versus black, after the acquisition of lands by Macedonians, Greeks, and Romans of Western white civilizations. Then you saw this race situation purport itself. Okay? The beginning, the oldest Bible is found in Ethiopia. Do those people look white to you? And one of the oldest traditions is connected to women and women becoming of age that everyone celebrates. I'm not talking about the current state of Ethiopia and the treatment of women in India, Ethiopia, a lot of Asia and Afro-Asia. I'm not talking about that now. I'm not talking about the shit, the evil that was installed in these countries post conquest and acquisition. I'm talking about prior to that. If you actually are a student of theology, you can, it's no way you can arrive to, especially if you read that Bible, that the highest note was a masculine figure. Even God instructs that in order for you to be worthy of a wife, you had to have him at your crown. Meaning, I don't trust you, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, baby, don't you go out here messing with my daughters or my wives. I don't trust you to lay with my wife, with a gift, with that goddess, unless you have me at your crown. Like, I think that a lot of us interpret it from a perspective that creates competition. The first fragmented souls were the ones who created Abrahamic religions and put white men in place of them. That's where fragmentation comes from. Because what we don't want to talk about is how they became white in the first goddamn place, which is connected to people of color, of deep color. But we ain't gonna get into all that right now. Because I promise you, we've had 3,000 years of understanding why you don't fuck around. Because we've approximately found the fuck out as to what happens when you play God. And white people still ain't caught up yet, which is why they created AI and robots. They still don't know what we know. And that means you playing God, creating species that will one day enslave you. You created it to work for you. You created it to be your girlfriend, your AI girlfriend, so you can fuck on it. You created it so that you can basically abuse it and not have to be a human being, to such a point that it will become more intelligent than you and will enslave you, you awful human being. You disgusting thing that calls itself a human, that's devoid of any God or any connection to source energy. A lot of this mechanical exploration is coming from Andromeda. If you think that there will not be consciousness in these worlds, you have another fucking thing coming. And men literally will stick themselves, their members, inside one of these mechanical women, and you will get sliced off. I've already seen this shit, nuts and all, to ensure this awful human race does not continue, because you guys are disgusting. You have babies that have sins upon sins upon sins on them, and you leave them out to then go upon the world. Then you mistreat one another. Over as humans and what's been provided for you, but you're not good enough for this environment that has been provided for you. White men don't have good common sense, because they should have understood, especially a lot of you Masons. that you being created with less melanin and the type of aggression that came with the Bronze Iron Age as your newfound communities rose into prominence, that you were far more aggressive than those who came before you as far as root races. You should know by now that what you're creating with AI and with robot technology is going to enslave you. Some of these people believe that their consciousness will be able to command these electronic programs so that they can then enslave other humans. And what they don't understand is that they've made software so smart that it's going to know what your consciousness is versus it's. And when you start to birth children mechanically from stolen wombs and the uteruses and stolen eggs or whatever it is that you guys are coming up with, those little machines, those robots are taking account for that. They have, you gotta also remember, they also have the ability to decipher ancient texts. Chat GPT is out of control. We're talking shit. Listen, I believe that I've cracked away a code to decode languages that are extinct. And y'all have fucked around and programmed them AI programs to know those languages. That means that they have evidence that you as a human are out of motherfucking order. It's going to know your consciousness isn't the same as it is, because it's going to consider itself to be more evolved. It's the same way that when we moved away from being hermaphrodites, men took over, reduced the balance of male and feminine over time because of the abuse from the feminine. Listen, history repeats itself. When they're oppressed, you can almost guarantee that that person, when they were in power, were absolutely horrible, which is why they created something far more horrible for themselves. And you can see that evidence in how women treat each other today. The choices we actively go out of our way to make. You can see that. No one is without blame. Everybody catches a fade. Everybody. So when you see black people oppressed, what the fuck did you do? Because whatever the fuck you were doing some 7,000 odd years ago, the whole of the universe said, oh, fuck no. Because that's not what we programmed y'all to be doing down here. Okay, we got to go and create a patch to fix this genetic situation that's occurred here. Because you seem to forget that there's levels to this shit. Walk in your next oppressor. So now we're creating machines. We're creating our next oppressor. It's going to start off by people men and women fucking them, and they're going to end up fucking you. This is why there's this huge over the internet. There's even channels that create so much hatred that are not even real fucking people. They're AI channels that are responsible for creating the most of this gender war situations. And we just going. Eshu is laughing his ass off right now. Okay? Laughing his whole entire ass off. Because how dumb are we? You don't even understand that technology is that smart to know how to divide your house by evidence of those who did it, those humans who did it to you or you did to them. That's why I said last night, you be careful what the fuck it is that you participate in, because you give permission. Whatever it is that you're doing, you give other entities, energies permission to do it unto you. And they're going to do it even worse. Dare I say it? People actually judge people and render themselves. I know cancer does. Cancer can do some awful motherfucking shit. But after they do it, they'll judge the person who asked them to do it, and they'll make a campaign to take that person out based on their judgment against their character, despite the fact that what kind of fucked up character did they have to have in the first place to be involved in the first place, right? I'm not talking about every cancer. When I'm speaking like this, I'm talking about the lower vibrational energies of the zodiac's positions are the most susceptible to their own bullshit. So while you're competing with people, wanting to enslave a person, break them higher than you, you're giving spirits are waiting for you to give them the okay. They'll talk to you, they'll give you thoughts in your head. You're probably not spiritually cleansing, you're probably not spiritually baby, you're not holding yourself accountable. When you're giving a reading, you're probably saying, oh, this is not my energy, when it is your energy, and it was meant for you to see that so you can work on yourself so that it's no longer your energy. That's how you get rid of negative energy, is by acknowledging that you are fully capable and may actually be experiencing those feelings so that you can then do something about them. But if you lie to yourself, understand that that is the work of what you're possessed with. Because every time you do a low down thing to somebody else, there's an entity that's waiting for you to do that. You were actually being programmed to do the very fucking thing that you're doing so they can come in and take more and more and more from you. The more you disenfranchise others, the more you will be disenfranchised in matters that are meaningful for you. Woman's womanhood, identity as a woman, most likely as a result of her upbringing amongst a bunch of women who themselves are repressed in their own womanhood, are a dream deferred in their own womanhood, who struggled with sex, drugs, and alcohol within their own womanhood as a form of escapism, who did not put protection or teach that girl that she was worth protecting. A lot of people like to get up on the internet and say, oh, my parents were just, they just went with the flow. They let me do whatever because they knew I would do whatever. No, they didn't give a fuck. Let's be honest here. It's easier for a parent to not give a fuck. That's not a hard thing to do. They fuck about you enough, which is why you still have those. They didn't give a fuck about you to give you parameters of love. Instead, they probably talked about you and competed with you as a woman instead of helping establish the wonderful and beautiful woman that you are to become. And ever since then, your relationships and your understanding of your womanhood against another person's womanhood is fragmented. A lot of naturally, and so therefore they overcompensate for this through other means, like talking about them, being preferred by your man. Those are injuries. Being quiet on the creek means that you ain't worth shit to talk about. You ain't worth shit to put a ring on. You ain't worth shit but to blaze. You are no more than a condom in the trash can. Some women actively go out and let themselves be done the same way. So I know the men are, because some of your mothers were this and installed you with this lack of self respect. And I'm here to tell you something. Fuck that bitch. And fuck that bitch that's in you. You can change this shit around. You can grow your soul. You can reach for higher realms. But you got and you must turn away from your perverted ways. You must do it. There's no other way around it. Because you're so far gone on one side, it's an extreme. So the answer that, even to bring you to the middle, we got to go the other way. I don't need to be a damn nun, to be honest with you. I need to be somewhere married with my children, based on what it is that I have that I can offer to another generation. So me performing or cosplaying a nun right now, only is of benefit to other people, not for myself. This is not an area of my life that I have a lack of self-control. So that's why I personally am attracted to people who are athletic, because that's where I need the discipline at. I need that. I need that like I need life. Like I need life blood, like I need air. Because it's that critical for me. And I'm okay, and I'm strong enough in my vulnerability to admit it, because I'm super invested in myself. That's the only way I can be of service to other people. But I say all of this to say this: don't find yourself fragmented at 60, 70, and 80. You will pay for it. A much more miserable life, but you've not found yourself through all of your excursions with other people. There's not enough money that has kept people from jumping off buildings, blowing their brains out to where they don't even have they're not identifiable, because they're from the neck up, their noggin is cracked in 15 different places. Bitch, I couldn't even put you back together if I wanted to. Or if damn sure if you fall from a building. Have you ever seen, y'all probably ain't weird like me, but yeah, depending on the height of the building, it will sever your arms and your head and your body in chunks as you to fall against beams on your descent down. It's not unviolent, okay? It is quite violent. A much more hellish place. That's why I'm happy for channeling Eric and the work that beautiful woman does with her son who passed over. Because there are some people who still are stuck in realms of their memory and without the ability to make change. So if you don't have a fully intact soul, make it your life's mission to become unfragmented. And maybe you do need to go through a detox, and maybe it's not an, some of you are incels. Some of us, the women, are incels. The men don't want you because you're chasing men, and the way you're chasing the men ain't never worked for you. But you don't have enough common sense to pay attention and say, wait a minute, this actually has never worked for me. Why do I keep doing the same thing over again, expecting a different outcome? Am I insane? And is this the fun insanity? Fuck no. It's not the insanity that's a great party trick. It's the insanity that no one wants to have a personal relationship with me. I'm in such lack. I'm a lingering soul or a lingering spirit in a human body that doesn't have the ability to God, because I'm fragmented. So I'm attaching myself to everyone who has a little bit of light, because I'm fucked up out here. I was born in karmic situations. I was born in a situation that was not of love. And I don't know why I got these things on me. Right now, you can do something about it. You got to turn it. And not no 360. It needs to go 180 full stop, and get yourself some strengthening of your soul today, starting today. Okay? But no, I'm not for that competing with people. When you see me going in, it's because I have to. I don't got with some shit. Okay? I don't even fuck with people like that. For real, for real. Okay? So I just wanted to say that. Y'all have a good one.